Calaroga Shark Media.
Happy July 4th. I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Today I thought I would talk about America's great prophet, George Carlin. If you're a regular listener to this program, you've heard me say before, the stuff Carlin put out at the beginning of this century, it feels like it was recorded yesterday. At the time, I thought Carlin sounded angry and had lost his fastball, and I am so wrong to have had that opinion. He is America's great prophet.
Just want to talk a little bit about that war in the Persian Gulf. Big doings in the Persian Gulf. You know my favorite part of that war? It's the first war we ever had that was on every channel plus cable. And the war got good ratings too, didn't it? Got good ratings. Well, we like war. We like war. We're a warlike people. We like war because we're good at it. And you know why we're good at it? Because we get a lot of practice. This country's only 200 years old, and already we've had 10 major wars. We average a major war in this country every 20 years, so we're good at it. And it's a good thing we are. We're not very good at anything else anymore. Can't build a decent car, got no steel industry left, can't get health care to our old people, can't educate our young people, but we can bomb the shit out of your country, all right? Huh? We can bomb the shit out of your country, all right?
Now, before we get into this, some housekeeping. If you go looking for George Carlin quotes online, a huge percentage of what you'll find is fake. They're not exaggerated or paraphrased. They're just attributed to him by people who never bother to check. One example is something called the paradox of our time. That's the one about taller buildings and shorter tempers, wider freeways and narrower viewpoints. That gets reposted with his name on it constantly. He didn't write that. That's from Bob Moorehead, a pastor who wrote it in 1995. Carlin was reportedly furious that he would be credited for it and said nothing should be attributed to him unless it actually came from one of his albums, books, HBO specials, or his own site. Let's start with the bit that's the actual backbone of this whole conversation. It gets quoted the most, it's understood the least. It's from Life is Worth Losing, his 13th HBO special, recorded November 5th, 2005 at the Beacon Theater in New York. The bit is officially titled Dumb Americans, and that title alone tells you something because the version of the bit that circulates online almost never gets attached to that title or that context. It gets cut down to the punchiest 20 seconds and passed around like a standalone thought. So here's my challenge here. I want to play a little in context here, but I can't go playing the whole bit. So I'm just as bad as the people I'm critiquing, but here's George Carlin.
Only a really low IQ population could have taken this beautiful continent, this magnificent American landscape that we inherited. Well, actually, we stole it from the Mexicans and the Indians, but hey, it was nice when we stole it. It looked pretty good. It was pristine. Paradise. Have you seen it lately? Have you taken a good look at it lately? It's embarrassing. Only a nation of unenlightened half-wits could have taken this beautiful place and turned it into what it is today, a shopping mall. That's all you've got here, folks. Mile after mile of mall after mall. Many, many malls. Major malls and mini malls. They put the mini malls in between the major malls. And in between the mini malls, they put the mini marts. And in between the mini marts, you got the car lots, gas stations, muffler shops, laundromats, cheap hotels, fast food joints, strip clubs, and dirty bookstores. America the Beautiful. One big transcontinental commercial cesspool. And how do the people feel about all this? How do the people feel about living in a coast-to-coast shopping mall? Well, they think it's just dandy. They think it is cool as can be because Americans love the mall. They love the mall. That's where they get to satisfy their two most prominent addictions at the same time, shopping and eating.
What was actually happening in that room that night? Carlin spent several minutes building a case about American voters, calling out what he saw as willful ignorance, mocking people for not paying attention, and then he pivots hard into something much more structural. He says there's a reason education in this country doesn't get better, and it's not incompetence, it's design. Forget the politicians, he says. They're irrelevant. They're there to give you the idea you have freedom of choice. The real owners, he says, are the big wealthy business interests. They control the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls, the judges, the media. They got you, in his words, by the balls. 2005. And then he lands the whole thing on the line everyone knows when they don't know where it's from. It's called the American Dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
That's the big answer to everything. Education. They said we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. And you say to them, well, we've tried all of that, and the kids still can't pass the test. They say, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass. More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a pencil. Then everyone wonders why 17 other countries graduate more scientists than we do. Education. Politicians know that word. They use it on you. Politicians have traditionally hidden behind 3 things: the flag, the Bible, and children. No child left behind. No child left behind. Oh, really? Well, it wasn't long ago you were talking about giving kids a head start. Head start, left behind. Someone's losing ground here. But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, the wealthy, the real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media news, all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your retirement money. They want it back, so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
What's important is the shape of the argument underneath that all. He's not telling a joke with a setup and a twist. He's making an accusation point by point, like a closing argument. And the laughs in the room are happening because the audience recognizes something true in real time, not because he surprised them with a punchline. That's why this bit hasn't faded the way topical material usually does. He wasn't joking about a specific 2005 scandal. He was describing a mechanism, and mechanisms don't expire on a news cycle. The second piece of that conversation, the fascism line, has a different and more interesting origin than most people assume, because it didn't come up from a stand-up special at all. It came from a TV appearance, September 9th, 2005, on Real Time with Bill Maher, days after Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast. Carlin was on the panel, and the conversation turned to President Bush calling for zero tolerance on looters and price gougers in the storm's aftermath. Carlin used the moment to say something he clearly believed. When fascism comes to America, it won't be in brown and black shirts. It won't be with jackboots. It'll be Nike sneakers and smiley shirts. And then he throws out an aside. Germany lost the Second World War. Fascism didn't.
The real looting in this country takes place in the transfer of the wealth from the poor to the rich. I'm sorry that you don't like class and the truth, my friend, but you're just stuck with it. Class and truth. And the poor have been systematically looted in this country. The rich have been made richer under this criminal, fascist president and his government.
That line has had a second life, completely disconnected from Katrina, completely disconnected from 2005, completely disconnected from Bush. It gets pulled out now by people across a wide range of political positions attached to whatever they're worried about in their own moment. And that's not a misuse of the quote. It's actually what the quote was built to do. Carlin wasn't describing a specific political party. He was describing the mechanism. The idea that authoritarianism doesn't need to look authoritarian if it can dress itself in comfort and branding and a friendly logo instead. That's a structural observation. The great prophet of our time. Then there's the bit that almost never gets the credit it needs next to the political stuff, because it's not really about the government, it's about the planet. This one from Jammin in New York, April 1992, Paramount Theater inside Madison Square Garden. Carlin reportedly said that one was his personal favorite of everything he ever did for HBO. George starts by going after the language of environmentalism itself. Everybody's saying something now. Save the trees, save the bees, save the whales, save the snails, and then, in his own words, the supreme arrogance, save the planet. He says, we don't even know how to take care of ourselves. We haven't learned how to take care of each other, and we think we're going to save the entire planet? And then the turn. The planet's fine. The people are the one who are finished. The planet's 4 billion years old, he said. It isn't going anywhere. We are. Pack your stuff. We're going away. We won't even leave much of a trace. The bit isn't really making a claim about climate change one way or the other. It's making a claim about human arrogance, the assumption that we're significant enough to destroy something that's outlasted ice ages and asteroid impacts. It's aged in a strange way because every time there's a heat wave or a wildfire season dominating headlines, someone resurfaces the clip and it lands like he's narrating this week's news from 30 years in the past. He wasn't predicting anything specific. He was describing a posture, and the posture is still recognizable.
See, I'm not one of these people who's worried about everything. You got people like this around you. Country's full of them now. People walking around all day long, every minute of the day, worried about everything. Worried about the air, worried about the water, worried about the soil. Worried about insecticides, pesticides, food additives, carcinogens. Worried about radon gas, worried about asbestos. Worried about saving endangered species. Let me tell you about endangered species, all right? Saving endangered species is just one more arrogant attempt by humans to control nature. It's arrogant meddling. It's what got us in trouble in the first place. Doesn't anybody understand that? Interfering with nature. Over 90%, way over 90% of all the species that have ever lived on this planet, are gone. Whoosh. They're extinct. We didn't kill them all.
What ties all those pieces together, the owner bit, the fascism line, the planet bit, is that none of them are about a specific event. That's the difference between material that ages and material that doesn't. Jokes built around a particular scandal, a particular politician, a particular headline, those need a footnote a few years later to even make sense. Carlin, especially in his last decade, was mostly building arguments about systems and habits of thought that don't get retired just because the news cycle moves on. Now, some people would say Carlin himself would have mocked this framing. Not every bit in his catalog has aged the same way. Some of the broader targets from early in his career land differently now than they did in the room at the time, the way almost any comedian's full body of work has material that was much of the time. He was a comedian who over 5 decades got progressively sharper and angrier and more precise about one specific question: who actually holds power and what does it cost regular people that they mostly don't notice? He spent his final specials narrowing in on that question with more focus than almost anyone else working in the format, and he answered it carefully enough and meant it specifically enough that the answer has not needed an update. That is the case for calling him a prophet. It has nothing to do with the 7 words, nothing to do with hippy-dippy weatherman. George Carlin, America's prophet. Enjoy your Independence Day. Hope you have an awesome weekend. See you tomorrow.